Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning. This is Eagle Eyes on Tech. I am Eagle Falcon. Alright, so let's get some public service announcements out of the way right away. First things first, this news is a little old, but this also kind of expanded a bit, to say the least. So last year, a little more than a year ago now, Yahoo revealed that, oh, by the way, we were hacked in 2014, and about 500 million to a billion people were affected by that, so you should probably change your passwords. Well, Yahoo had to come forward again, but this time, instead of saying, yeah, a few people were, they pretty much said that 100% of their users were hacked. Yeah, if you had a Yahoo account, you've been hacked. Not even being sarcastic about that. You have been hacked. Any information you had on Yahoo, which in my case was nothing but a spam email using a pseudonym, and also records that I apparently live on 123 Fake Street in Albany, New York at zip code 11111. By the way, highly recommend you use that fake information. It is fantastic. Considering the fact that all of that is technically real. Albany, New York does in fact have a zip code called 1111. And if they try to trace it, there is a 123 Fake Street, but there's nothing there. It's just great. But yeah, if you had a Yahoo email and you used it for anything useful, go change your password. 3 years ago. If you haven't done it yet, go change it. Unless you just don't care. So, just to clarify once again, past all the rambling, if you have a Yahoo email, it has been hacked. Guaranteed. And with that, we move on to the other important bit of public service announcement. I love how the chat that we have here on Twitch, I'm not sure if they're sarcastically or seriously doing it, asking, what is a Yahoo? I wonder what the chat's going to do when we have to talk about AOL Instant Messenger later. I mean, here's pretty much the lowdown. If you are, in fact, one of the people who are seriously asking, what is a Yahoo? Don't worry about it. It clearly doesn't affect you. Old search engines. Alright, anyway. There has also been reports going around, though very small and sporadic, that there are iPhone 8 batteries that are swelling. And I don't mean that they're swelling a little bit that lithium-ion batteries normally do, or lithium polymer, whichever technology Apple's using in these phones. They are swelling to the point of clearly being unstable and breaking apart the phone. Swelling batteries, if you don't know, also is a sign that they can generate more heat and possibly catch fire and in extremely rare cases explode. If you have an iPhone 8 and it is swelling to the point where the casing is coming apart, take it to the Apple bar and don't charge it. It is clearly a defect and should be replaced. Alright? 1 second here. There. I had to take care of that real quick. Next door neighbors were chatting loud enough to be picked up by the mic. So I had to close the window and now make myself suffer. Anyway. Now, moving on to the last bit of, quote, public service announcements. Though this one nowhere near as important as the other two. AOL Instant Messenger, also known as AIM, is shutting down. I know. I'm gonna miss it too. And there's probably a good number of people that are in the chat right now who have no idea that AOL Instant Messenger was even a thing. Actually, no, apparently chat remembers AIM more than they remember Yahoo. Which just shows the kind of people that we have here in the Twitch chat today. But yeah, services for AOL Instant Messenger will end December 15th. Yeah. AIM isn't even gonna make it to Christmas. It won't even see Christmas. A little sad. But I mean, what do you expect? So many of the instant message services have pretty much been rolled into other things. Mostly video chat services, SMS texting, services like iMessage, Discord being the big thing right now in the gaming community, which we're going to talk more about later. Stick around for that. And by later, I mean, like, next. So, any sort of conversations that you want to keep, do get them off your AIM history, because it's going to be gone soon. And actually, oddly enough, Unjust Man mentions ICQ. CNET was actually talking about it earlier this week. I mean, AOL Instant Messenger's biggest competitors was ICQ, which I literally cannot remember what the acronym stands for, and MSN Messenger. MSN Messenger was killed and merged into Skype. ICQ is still going. Figure that one out. I would have never predicted that ICQ would still exist. I figured that went out when geosites went out. Or name anything. Speaking of instant messaging services coming up, Blizzard thinks they have the answer. Blizzard is incorporating into their desktop app, which normally is used for launching games. Well, how about I just read off what they're introducing and tell me. Just stop me if you've heard this before, even though you literally can't stop me. There is going to be a new beta version of BlizzardBattle.net that will include the following features. A social tab. Our new social tab is your one-stop shop for managing all your various social interactions. Whether you're chatting with a friend or engaging in our new Blizzard groups, you'll easily be able to pick up where you left off in all your conversations. Blizzard groups. Blizzard groups are a new way for you to connect with your friends and plan your next mission. Players can create and join groups based on their common interests. There they can keep in touch, share strategies, and catch up on conversations they might have missed while they were offline. Each group can have multiple text and voice chat channels, and group administrators, and a variety of tools to help manage membership, send out invitation links, and more. The group beta is available now in the American regions. Head to the new social tab to get started. Profiles. Let the Blizzard world know a little more about yourself by customizing your profile. Your profile will allow you to select an avatar, share what's on your mind, about messages, add links where people can find you on social media, and more. You can also appear offline, finally, in case you just want to game without people knowing. Alright, if you know anything, you've already figured it out, it's Discord. Straight up, it's Discord. And actually, Unjust Banana in the chat says, so it's becoming like Steam. No. Even Steam doesn't have these Discord-esque features. This is actually much closer to the Twitch desktop app. The Twitch desktop app you can use to watch streams, manage add-ons, be on Discord Lite, as well as launch games. It's getting closer to that. The thing is that although I am a Twitch streamer and I do like what Twitch does, the Twitch desktop app is, well, until I mention it, how many of you even remember that Twitch has a desktop app? None, right? Almost none of you remembered that. But yeah, it's basically Discord. Discord's being put into Blizzard that they're building internally. Etc., etc. And, oddly enough, let me actually tell you a little story about how I found out about the Blizzard desktop app. One of my groups on Discord first put it up inside their quote-unquote lobby. And then the group pretty much went back and forth about whether it's going to catch on because it's a Blizzard product, or whether not many people are going to care because more people show loyalty to Discord. Because that's pretty much what happened with the Twitch version. Too many people had loyalty to Discord and liked Discord's stability and didn't switch to the desktop app. That, and also Twitch was bad at marketing their desktop app. And that particular Discord is actually managed by someone on the Discord staff. The Discord staff member then posted that, oh, by the way, video chat is now available the entire server-wide on Discord, including video chat and screen sharing for everyone on desktop. So, I mean, while Discord continues their memeing and continues developing their app and advancing it, while also at the same time stabilizing it, others can try to mimic it, but I think more people are going to have more loyalty to Discord for doing it so well first. Also, in a related story that I forgot to put an article up, and also didn't really talk about a whole lot because I was waiting for verification, all bugs on the iOS version of Discord have been fixed. An update went out early this week. If you have iOS and you haven't updated Discord, go update it. The patch is now live. And on that same note, I also want to talk about for a brief moment about how to handle iOS updates or any sort of operating system update. Just wait a few weeks, and everything will be fine. I'm not even kidding. Launch day of a software update is the worst day to grab the update, especially if it's an operating system update. Because the moment you update the operating system, other things that run on the operating system will not work properly, and it's just going to be a mess. So if you have iOS, go ahead, update it to iOS 11 and be happy. If you're on Android, accept the update as quickly as you can, just because Android takes forever to launch their updates, which is one of the big problems Android has. Alright, now that we got all of that out of the way, which was a seamless rant about everything, let's move on to Netflix deciding that raising its price is a good idea. Yeah, not even kidding. Netflix is once again planning on raising its prices. And they're not going up too much. It's basically going up another $1. I think across the board. So the base price, which most people use, which is the $9.99, that's going up to $10.99. However, the lowest end price, which is $7.99, that is staying at $7.99. Ultra HD content is going up from $11.99 to $13.99. And part of me gets, okay, you gotta go and up your prices to try and use that money to get more contracts, but I mean, I think this is the wrong move. I really do. I mean, just think about it for a minute. More and more and more content is leaving Netflix. For the most part now, the only reason you go on Netflix is either to A, get older content, which oddly enough is starting to slowly vanish from Netflix. Like, for example, Futurama seasons 1 through 6 are just straight up gone now from Netflix. Or to get Netflix original content. That's it. That's not a great plan that you got going there. Now, hopefully after this price raise, Netflix is going to start announcing that we're getting this, that, or the other thing. But, I mean, you're making it very hard to say going with Netflix rather than Hulu. Or anything else for that fact. Which is kind of sad because Netflix was the dominating force in the streaming video market. They had it. Well, not just streaming video, but streaming movies, I should say. 1 second, mic almost fell. Come on, there we go. Time will tell if the Netflix price raise is going to lead to anything, but if I recall from the last time their prices went up, more content left. And if that's all that's going to happen with Netflix, that they're just going to raise their prices and keep doing what they're doing and not adding anything except for maybe a new season of this, that, or the other thing that they own, you might want to reconsider what's going on. Maybe trim some fat internally. With that, let's move on to some actual computer hardware. So, Coffee Lake is out. It is slowly coming into existence. These are the 8th generation Intel Core series processors. And for the most part, here's the biggest thing to note. The absolute highest end, top tier 8th generation Core i7 processor. This is the highest end processor you can get without going into what I call the E-class processors, though I think they're now called X-classed. But whatever, the enthusiast levels. The highest end you can get now, the 8700K. It is a 6-core part. And not only that, the i5s, the 8400s and the 8600Ks, are also 6-core parts. The Core i7 8700K, 6 cores, 12 threads, 3.7 gigahertz at the base, 4.7 gigahertz at absolute top when turboed, 16 PCI Express lanes, 95 watt TDP at $359 for the price. That is some serious horsepower, and I'm actually very curious how the benchmarks are going to come out showing what the multi-threaded application performance is going to be. Because already, before I had a chance to talk about, other people in other various Twitch streams were talking about this processor and what it could mean for Twitch streamers. And on one hand, yeah, you have more threads, you should be able to stream better on one computer. But the problem comes with new processing power. As I've been saying, it can easily lead to games, applications, and whatnot requiring more processing to be able to do more. In addition, you could have more processors, just like with the old AMD bulldozer parts, and still not be able to do anything, because the cores are bad. Now, I have a hard time imagining that Intel would go down, especially since it's not a new architecture. It's a refresh of a refresh. Because when push comes to shove, Coffee Lake is just Cabby Lake, freshened up twice. No matter how you look at it. And Cabby Lake was a good processor. The big difference between Coffee Lake and Cabby Lake is that Coffee Lake has more cores. As I said, down the road we're going to find out more and more about what these processors can do. The important thing I know right now is that they start at quad core on the i3 level, go to 6-core at the i5 level, and then go 6-core with hyper-threading at the i7 level. I'm also curious to see how many cores the laptop version are going to have, because these are all desktop parts that we're talking about here. So, time will tell. Time will tell. Let's talk about how Lenovo wants to get back to its roots. Lenovo has announced the limited edition ThinkPad 25th Anniversary Edition. And for the most part, after several years of teasing, it's an average laptop. As much as I hate to say it, it really is. I mean, I have love for the classics. I really do. Already in the chat, we already have someone that's just kind of laughing at the name ThinkPad, because it's a very, very old brand. ThinkPad's been around for a long time. But here's what it is. It's a 14-inch laptop. It's basically a ThinkPad T470 laptop in a new body. It has the classic tapered key style. There's no chiclet island keyboards on this sort of thing. You do still have the big trackpad that the current ThinkPads do. You have the old retro ThinkPad logo. Not really old, but kind of a hybrid between the two. The Think part's still in silver with the dot being red. But the pad part of ThinkPad, the P is red, the A is green, the D is blue. Kind of like how the old ThinkPads were. And the guts are pretty good. Got an Intel Core i7 7500U processor. Decent ultra low voltage processor. Two cores, 4 threads. I want to say that's 2.5 gigahertz under the hood. You do have a discrete graphic card in the NVIDIA 940MX GPU. 1080p matte touchscreen display. All things considered, it's a pretty good laptop. There's just one problem. It's clearly a collector's item with a starting price of $1,899. Come on. I'm a little disappointed. But at the same time, what should I have expected? When push comes to shove, it's clearly a cash grab. To pull at the heartstrings of the old businessmen who grew up on a T40 or a T20 ThinkPad laptop, or even older ones than those. Those are the first ones that come to my head, because when I look at this thing, that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the old T42s or the T21s that I worked on quite a bit. But let's be honest, at $1,900, the only reason you're getting this is to be a ThinkPad collector. That's it. Alright, we're going to be right back. When we come back, all the Google announcements and a little bit of Amazon news. Be right back, guys. This podcast was brought to you by people just like you who have gone to twitch.tv/eagle_falcon and support the channel there in any way they can, whether it be cheering using some bits, donating directly, or subscribing. And Twitch has actually extended their 50% off subscription sale all the way to October 18th. And fortunately enough, they do not reduce the amount that supports the streams. You can support us fully at 50% off right now. Thank you. And back to the podcast. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. I'm not sure if this weird whistle I'm hearing is being picked up by the mic. If it is, I apologize. But it's starting to drive me insane. It might in fact be a sign I'm going insane. But I'll figure that out later. In the meantime, I want to talk for a moment about a little Amazon promo I found that kind of goes along with the whole supporting this podcast sort of thing, but is also the first time that Amazon has acknowledged that it owns Twitch. Now, don't get me wrong, Twitch has acknowledged that it's owned by Amazon quite a number of times. But Amazon's not really one to acknowledge what it owns. Here's what I came across. What popped up in the feed was, quote, "Parents got Prime? Now you can get Twitch Prime for free." Now, you will not see this if you go to the Amazon site. At least, not unless you start digging for it. And I do mean dig for it. It's found at amazon.com/b/ref=s9_acss_b blah 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 blah. But this is something that anyone who's used Twitch knows. In fact, a lot of people on Twitch have admitted that if they still live with their parents, that they do this. Where they sync their Twitch account with their parents' Amazon account and then get Twitch Prime and reap the benefits of that, which includes a handful of Twitch Prime emotes, free in-game gear with supported games, as well as, probably the most important part, one free sub a month. That means subbing to a Twitch channel, getting access to their emotes, as well as ad-free viewing. Although in addition to Twitch Prime, you also get limited ad-free viewing. This is, though, the first time that they're enhancing this link even more. What you can do now is that whoever you link the Amazon account with can get certain benefits, including Twitch Prime. One of the other ones is that the teen who has their parents' Amazon account linked to them can also buy things with the Amazon account, provided that the parent approves it. Now, unfortunately, this page doesn't give all the details, and it's extremely difficult for me to go any further because, well, obvious reasons. Maybe it's the fact I already have Prime. Now, I'm not sure how Amazon would know that you got your approval through the text. I don't know if there's like a link that the parent would have to go through on their phone and then hit, yeah, okay, whatever. Nor am I sure what other features come with this. But this is the first push that I know of Amazon trying to encourage the linking with a son or daughter's account. And let's be honest real quick, just as Unjust Banana in the chat has said, this clearly is marketing towards the kids. But it's not only marketing towards the kids, it's also creating a program just for this purpose. So I'll be very curious how this works. I've already sent some contact emails to a few people in Amazon. They haven't gotten back to me yet with them. Not too surprising. I only sent the emails out a few hours ago. So if I get a response from them, I'm going to be more than eager to share it with you. Let's get to the Google announcements. This announcement really crept up on me, not gonna lie. Google has announced, well, basically a refresh of its everything, as well as a few new things. First off, we're going to talk about the two big things, the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL. These are the new phones. And you can try and argue that they're just like the iPhone X. I'm going to argue against that, because the screen doesn't quite take up the entire desktop, or the entire screen, I should say, the entire front of the phone, like the X does. I mean, the X takes it up to the point where they even have two silly little ears at the top, and it extends all the way to the bottom. On this, there's a little bit of a bezel at the top and the bottom. So, I mean, that's just semantics, but it is kind of an important detail. Anyway, Pixel 2 arrives at the standard version with a 5-inch screen, 1920 by 1080 AMOLED display. The XL version is a POLED display with a resolution of 2880 by 1440. That's halfway to 4K. Both phones are powered by the 8-core Snapdragon processor with 4 gigs of RAM and either 64 gigs or 128 gigs of storage. It is confirmed that there is no SD card slot on either phone. That's disappointing. Right? I mean, that's really disappointing. Now, fortunately, one thing that the Pixel phones did include, they do have stereo front-facing speakers. You don't really think about that a whole lot until you actually watch video regularly on your phone. That's a big deal. The camera is supposed to be insanely good. For me, it's really hard to figure out exactly how good it is. Now, one thing I didn't really understand was the fact, what's the big difference between the AMOLED and the POLED? I mean, the only thing I can really tell the difference is the POLED is thinner. And that it's using plastic instead of glass. I'm not entirely sure on that. But the important thing is that you're getting a high quality image regardless on these phones. Let's just quickly go over everything. Oh yeah, one last thing about it. Fingerprint reader on the back. In addition, you can summon the Google Assistant by squeezing the edges of the phone. They have sensors there where you naturally hold the phone. If you squeeze it, the assistant comes up. You don't have to worry about holding down a button or anything of that nature. So, that could be a big deal. Last thing on the phone, then I'll swear I switch off it. I swear it. No headphone jack. A couple of people I knew that were stalking, and I mean stalking, the rumors on this phone, frantically wanted to know if Google was going to kill the headphone jack, just like Apple killed the headphone jack. The answer is yes. Headphone jack is gone. The Pixel 2 starts at $649, which is about average, a little cheaper than a lot of the other high-end phones, but there's some features missing on the Pixel 2. Pixel 2 XL starts at $849. So there you have it. Afterwards, Google has announced the Google Home Mini. A small little mini Echo Dot-like device, except it's looks closer to a fuzzy hockey puck. Little sphere with a little bit of a felt coating on the top, but it's pretty much just like the Google Home device. Smart speaker plays music when you say "Okay, Google" and then give it a command. It's just like the Echo, basically, except Google. Google Home Mini is going to be out on October 19th, costing $49. Then we have the Google Home Max. The Google Home Max can easily be confused for a pillow. The speaker contains two 4.5-inch woofers and several tweeters, and inline ports so you can plug in whatever you want to it. The Home Max is 20 times more powerful as the original Google Home and will arrive in December. It costs $400. You've got to really want that high-quality speaker to shell out that kind of money for it. Followed by, we have the Pixel Book, which I don't like this one. Alright, the Pixel Book, Google's newest laptop, is a 2-in-1 foldable laptop called the Pixel Book. Pixel Book is a 12.3-inch display, weighs about 2.2 pounds, super thin at 10 millimeters thick. Pro tip, if it is 10 millimeters thick, why not just say a centimeter? Anyway, The laptop runs Google's Chrome OS and has about 10 hours of battery life. The Pixelbook will also support the $99 Pixelbook pen. Yay! So you can write and draw on the screen with very little lag. The pen also has a button for Google Assistant. If you draw a circle around something on the screen while holding the button, it will use Google's search engine to identify whatever you circled. Pixelbook will cost $999 and is available to pre-order starting Wednesday. This particular article came out the 4th. So either it's available for pre-order now or available for pre-order on the 11th. The writer of this article from the Business Insider needs to be more specific. So while I go look up the actual date, let's talk about this for a minute. Alright, so we have here an ultra-thin laptop running a Core i7 or a Core i5, 16 gigs of RAM, and up to 512 gigabytes of SSD storage. 10 hours of use using a USB-C charger, so on and so forth. Who cares? Because no matter what you do with this laptop, you have immediately ruined it by A, putting Chrome OS on it. Easily the most useless laptop operating system in the history of laptop operating systems. And this includes whatever 2-bit version of Linux you throw on there. Seriously, pick any version of Linux, and it can probably do more than Chrome OS. Oh, but Eagle, Chrome OS is immune to viruses and great for the educational system. So is frickin' Ubuntu. What's your point? Again, any version of Linux is more useful. And you expect me to go ahead and put down $1,000 for a laptop that does less than my phone? Forget that. Alright, and all that ranting, I still cannot find the actual pre-order date. I tried. And also, this constant push for $100 styluses is getting old fast. It really is. Between the Apple Pencil, the Surface stylus, and now the Pixelbook pen? Oh, good lord. I don't even know what to say. Let's move on. We also now have the Google Pixel Buds. The Pixel Buds are wireless earbuds connected by a wire. Yes, you heard me right. That, they're wireless earbuds that cost $160. They're basically the answer to the AirPod. They come with a carrying case. They will charge twice in there. The only thing that actually saves these Pixel Buds is the fact they come in, I'm not even exaggerating when I say this, it has a real-time translation engine built into the earbuds. So if enabled, and also supported by your phone, you can have these earbuds listen to the conversation and have it translate into whatever language you want in real time. That's actually useful. That's actually interesting. All right, Unjust Man in the chat comments that Google has in-depth services for the education market. Yeah, I get that. And that's why the Chromebook is seen a lot in education. But here's the thing. I still keep in touch with a company here in Wisconsin that gets a whole lot of off-lease equipment, including off-lease equipment from schools. You know what the overwhelming majority of that is? iPads. Whenever there is a Chromebook lot that comes off, it's the $200 Samsung or Acer Chromebooks. Literally the only place that Chrome OS has in this world is in education. And I will still argue forever, no matter how much Google tries to pimp itself up as being great for education, you can teach kids more with Ubuntu or name a Linux. It's going to be more useful. Let's move on rather than getting into the conversation of Linux versus Chrome OS. Though you're more than welcome to email me at eaglefalcontech@gmail.com. And type out your angry comment about why Chrome OS is better than Ubuntu. We have Google Clips. A tiny camera. Not tiny, but like 1.5 by 1.5, maybe 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters, sort of square camera. That, I'm not gonna lie, is, although kind of cool on paper, extremely Skynetty the moment you explain it. So I'll give you the short version first, the one that makes it sound really neat. It's a camera that will automatically capture the best and most important moments, whether you realize they're happening or not. And right there, it already sounds pretty Skynetty. I tried. Google did a much better way of giving a short explanation so it didn't sound super creepy, but I can't help but think it's super creepy. This camera uses machine learning to constantly record and then take small video clips at high resolution of moments the camera thinks is extremely important. And then later on, you can go through your phone, take a single frame of those videos and save that as a picture, or save short clips or make movies out of these things. Everything is stored on the camera and on your phone. None of it's going to a server, thank God. And the more and more I talk about it, and the more and more you think about it, it sounds really, really, really Skynetty, doesn't it? The Clips camera can stalk your life at the low, low price of $249. Yay. Now, I should clarify. I said always on. It's only on when you tell it to. There is a button on the front that that can turn it off and on. I should clarify that. That was a misspeak on my part. And then we move on to, Daydream View. There is an updated version of the VR headset you stick your phone into. It costs $99. I'd say more, but that's really it. We already know what it is. You put a phone in it after running an app, and it will give you a VR experience. The end. So, I mean, that's the entire announcement. There was a lot in there. And although almost everyone was focused on the two Pixel phones, there's a lot of interesting and questionable stuff in there. And I will still say hands down, the Pixel book did not need to exist. And with that, let's move on to a product nobody knew existed, nobody cares existed, but it interests me. And that's the Z-Box from Zotac. The Z-Box is a small, old-school Mac Mini style device that is packing a shocking amount of power. Core i7 7700 in there with a GTX 1080 along with 16 gigs of DDR4 2400 RAM and a small 512 gigabyte NVMe M2 SSD. All in a 23 by 20 by 13 centimeter box. Or 8.9 inch by 8 inch by 5 inch box. The only real downside with this thing is, A, they haven't announced a price for it yet. Which kind of makes you wonder, And B, it needs two power supplies. It uses two external, what I can only assume are 200 watt power supplies. Those are AC bricks to power this thing. Go into another article to see if they've announced a price. They have not. Okay. Good to know. Oh, they did say that it's two 180 watt power adapters. Okay. That I just find really cool. I am always interested in seeing how much power they can pack into a small computer. Especially since this is all desktop parts. There are people with 2-foot tall computer towers that have as much power as this little box does. And this thing's smaller than a lot of people's cable boxes. Now, there's one thing to keep in mind. This is using water cooling. The entire top of this thing is a water-cooled radiator. Do not put anything on top of this thing if you get one. It might try to cook whatever's on top of it. Although if you overclocked it, then... Does that mean it would pump out enough heat to actually put a frying pan out and, like, make bacon? There's an interesting thought. Alright, one last product to talk about before we get to the last bird. Roku has announced that it's updating its entire lineup. Basically, the thing of most note is the fact that everything is going to have 4K support on it. As well as have the ability to search every app that's on the Roku for a show. Becoming a lot more like, I don't know, Apple TV. At $100 tops. Yeah. Remember a couple of weeks ago when I said that the Apple TV 4K seemed really, really high priced? And that there's got to be a better solution than this at much cheaper. Yeah, Roku heard. And Roku's ready. Alright, last bird for the day. I want to talk for a moment about a conversation I had earlier, and also earlier this week, about Twitch streaming setups. There's always been a great debate about how to do a setup. A lot of streamers, what they do is that they just get one super powerful PC, usually at minimum a Core i7, whatever 700 series. Or they go beyond that and into the E-class. There are other streamers who just go through the streaming app on their consoles. This is not good, by the way. Don't do that. But more and more lately, as there's been more and more little on-screen widgets that have been running, more and more people have been kind of wondering, how do I manage the CPU that OBS is taking? Most streamers use OBS or they use XSplit. You still run into the same problems currently. Bebo as well runs these problems, especially if you're using the cup. Now, what I ended up doing was what's called a 2-PC setup. This is using one PC to do just the streaming. It handles OBS, it handles the bots, it handles chat, it does all that, and another computer handles the gaming. This is the same sort of setup that console streamers use. Alright, but here's the conversation I had earlier today. A lot of people said that you want to only use a desktop. A desktop's the only device in existence that's going to have the power that OBS demands if you want to have a good-looking stream. The answer is no, but there are a few guidelines you need to hit. I want you to take notes for a minute. All right? And again, this applies if you're doing a lot of on-stream, what are called widgets. The big one that right now is the CPU killer is what's known as the bits cup. All right, if you plan on using a laptop just to stream, here's what it needs. It needs at least a 4th generation quad core CPU. That means when you look at the model number, the first number should be a 4, or a 5, or a 6, or a 7, or an 8. In addition, you want to make sure that it is more than likely an i7 and that it's a quad core, that the CPU number doesn't end in a U. If the CPU number ends in a U, do not use it for streaming, period. That's an ultra-low voltage processor, and it is going to make the computer cry. Second, if you are hoping to do this on a budget, do not use a MacBook. Anything. I mean, first off, don't use a MacBook, period. Don't use a MacBook Air. And a MacBook Pro, there's a better way to spend your money if you're looking to do this on a budget. If you like Macs, then go do your thing. You're not going to listen to me anyway. There's actually a guy in the chat right now trying to justify using a MacBook Pro for streaming. No. Just don't. I don't care how good that touch bar is for OBS. It's not worth the price. It just isn't. You can better spend $3,000, trust me. The other thing that is important, especially if you're using a laptop for streaming, is that the laptop runs quiet. You're going to want to elevate the laptop in some way, shape, or form so the fans can try and stay at low RPMs. And you want to make sure that the laptop was designed with quiet performance in mind. Ideally, mobile workstations are the way to go. The laptop I use is a Dell Precision M4800, and I have that sitting on a dock so it's elevated, stays nice and quiet. You can't even hear it. Like, ever. Unless I do something stupid and run Furmark. Now, granted, the only advantage I have by using this laptop instead of just a second desktop is, well, there's actually two advantages. One, the laptop's going to be more power efficient. And two, your streaming rig is now portable. If neither of those two things matter to you, by all means, go get a cheap desktop. Go get a cheap desktop and be happy. There's no reason to do that. But that's pretty much the big thing I wanted to get across. A lot of people have been asking me recently about using a laptop for streaming. As I said, do not use it as your only rig. To game and stream on a laptop, that's pushing your CPU a lot. Unless you're doing a very bare bones setup. Or if you're doing retro games. And the other thing is that using the two PC setup, it does mean that you don't have to worry about shelling out $400, $500 extra on an more up-to-date motherboard, getting an E-class CPU to make sure you have enough CPU power for both OBS and the game, and that there is no potential conflict between the two. But you're going to want to make sure you do that and have a very, very good capture card. Some little El Cheapo 30 frames per second sort of thing you got for $30 out of a cereal box is not gonna really cut it. Anyway, that's gonna do it for me. I hope you have enjoyed this podcast. I will be back next week, 12 o'clock Central Time, at twitch.tv/eagle_falcon to broadcast the podcast live. Or, of course, you can find the podcast anywhere on iTunes, Google, or iHeartRadio. Take care!